The problem with Latinos is not work ethic. We're probably one of the hardest working ethnic groups out there. Unfortunately, statistics don't reflect that, right? And I feel like a big part of that is because we're not educated.
Hello, guys. Thank you for tuning in to the More Than the Numbers podcast. This is a show where we'll dive into the stories of people overcoming financial insecurity, showing the different paths that people take to become wealthy, and overall just how to live a more purposeful life. So if you enjoyed listening to the show, please show some support, give us a 5-star review, and leave a comment of your favorite part of the pod. Also, please share it to anyone that you know that feels stuck and that needs some uplifting or needs some help to get their finances in order. We're really just trying to help as many people as we can with these stories. God bless all of you, and just enjoy the show. Today we introduce the dynamic duo behind the Educate and Elevate platform. Pablo Moreno and Armando Olmeda are financial strategists who use their unique backgrounds to bring entrepreneurship, financial education, and retirement planning to the Latino community. In this podcast, we learn about why they do what they do, along with the difficulties that minorities go through when trying to create generational wealth. We hope you enjoy listening to this pod half as much as we enjoyed making it, because we had a ball. More Than the Numbers podcast. Let's dive in. All right, everyone. Welcome to the More Than the Numbers podcast. Today, we've got some special guests. It's the first time that we're ever driving all the way out from our home office. We came out here in Chino Hills. Appreciate Pablo Moreno, Armando Olmeda, Educate and Elevate. Thank you for coming on the pod, guys.
Man, of course, bro. Thank you for having us.
That was dope, man. I mean, it's our first time opening up our studio.
Yeah.
To someone else, but bro, what better guest than
I know. You guys had me on a training call. I came here and met you guys for the first time. Don't really even know you guys personally like that too, and so I appreciate you're kind of like inviting someone you don't really know. So I really appreciate the hospitality and bringing Moon, our creative director, back there too. So just extremely happy I'm here and elevate your stories and just give everyone some inspiration and some tips, some hacks on how they can improve their lives. So,
bro, we when it was funny, bro, because when you reached out and we were chopping it up, you came to the branding event that we had about a month and a half ago, almost now.
Yeah,
it was we didn't even really have to think about it too much, bro. We love your energy, we love what your podcast is all about, and everything that you're doing, man. So
yeah, you guys are killing it, bro.
Yeah, it's a great mesh.
Killing it. Keep going.
No, definitely. And again, it's like when I saw you guys, I was like, I didn't know there were other Hispanic, Latino, young men like just trying to go for success. I feel like a lot of people in our kind of age group they're not there yet, in terms of like the mentality. They're still kind of in party mode or, just not there taking things as serious or looking at their future yet. And sometimes I bet you guys can see it too, where you try to, maybe get your boys from back home of like, get your stuff together. And it's just like so hard. So just to see you guys so proper, so clean, so, on the nose discipline when I saw you, I was like, is admirable. So I want to be whatever it is a part of it. I want it. I want it a little bit, but yeah, I can compliment you guys all day, but I want to go into your stories. So Tell me about it. Like, where did you guys meet and what inspired you guys to start the Educate and Elevate brand?
Bro, it's kind of funny. You want to take this one or?
Well, I'll start with the Educate Elevate brand.
Yeah.
Like that brand, we started the beginning of the year. Because it really came down to, like Pablo and I have a lot of similarities. And we came together, bro. It was kind of like, well, man, I'm trying to do something. You're trying to do something. It's kind of like, well, we have a lot in common too. And it seems like the passion has always been there. At least for myself, it's been there for the Latino community. And when I got to know Pablo, it's just that times 10.
Yeah, bro. And honestly, like the relationship, like I feel like nowadays a lot of people connect on the gram, right? We had a couple of mutual friends. And it all sparked from curiosity, right? I think we all have a pretty common belief as far as like being Laker fans. We were just talking offset, the Mamba mentality, right? And I think that Armando and I we connected on the sports vibe a lot, right? We love the morality of business. We love entrepreneurship. We both have a passion for helping our community. But also at the same time, we actually had a very big commonality too. I don't know if you've heard of these guys based out of Atlanta called Earn Your Leisure, EYL. So, one of the things that we really were drawn to was just their educational platform and how they really, strive to really just educate and elevate in other words, right? And really what our passion lies in is exactly that. The core values are really aligned in terms of educating and elevating. But we wanted to do it for our community, man, because, we're really passionate about, the Latin community. We're really passionate about getting into the inner cities. We're passionate about giving back. And when we were talking about what could we do, that's kind of where it landed.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like it came down to really like, well, how can we get the biggest outreach possible? Like, and then I think the biggest question we always got to ask ourselves whenever we do anything is, well, how can we affect the most amount of people? And what better way than teaming up and hitting down like a niche market, like the Latino who are underserved and underrepresented, where we could hit them up and then talk to them directly, because now we could resonate with them. We're bilingual enough to the point. Spanglish, the LA Spanglish, but
no Sabo kids or what?
No Sabo kids. Yeah, bro. So it's cool. It aligned well. Now we're flowing. We have events going on. So I like it, bro. I'm grateful to see where we're at. And
nice. So where did you get that passion for uplifting the Latino community? Did you guys ever have like as a personal story to why it is? Like for me growing up, and I was telling you guys, I'm a mortgage loan officer, really inspired and wanted to kind of make a mark of like being successful with that, because I came from lower income family. We all, the tios all living in the same house, lived in the garage, things like that. So I'm like, there's got to be another kind of way. And so that's what kind of sparked my fire and helped me learn about all the gaps that there are with just the info that's not there for the Latino community. That was my personal story. So do you guys have any personal stories with why, you feel that inspiration or drive to do it?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good question, man. And much like kind of like yourself, I mean, my personal story is in terms of like really giving back and why I got into the industry of financial services, specifically insurance, retirement planning, and living trust and all that stuff is I lost my dad at 14 years old, right? And my dad came here from Mexico City. My mom's from Cuba. And, when my dad came here, he was 23 years old, built a really, really large business. But I think just like a lot of Latinos, I say it all the time, the problem with Latinos is not work ethic. We're probably one of the hardest working ethnic groups out there. Unfortunately, statistics don't reflect that, right? And I feel like a big part of that is because we're not educated, right? So like, for example, I go back to my story when my dad passed in 2009, he had a really large estate, but we ended up being in a 6-year probate case because, he didn't have any life insurance. He didn't have a living trust. He didn't have his documents in order. And he passed from one day to another. I mean, we don't get our checkout date. So for me, it was like, man, I went through that. I experienced it personally, and that was my why. So my heart really does break when I see Latinos, working 15-hour days or away from their families. They're making all this money, but they're stashing it under the mattress, or they're not essentially setting themselves up properly to qualify for real estate or to build that real wealth, right? So, and it's nothing against the Latinos, but it's more so like, how could we educate them? How could we resonate with them? How could we connect with them? And that was my reason on the why. You know what I mean? That was a little bit about my story. You know what I mean?
Yeah, strong why too, bro. I mean, and people know your story because it's a strong story. And then my story would be more about seeing the inequality gap between, if you look at Latinos versus any other ethnicity, Latinos fall very, very down. So looking at that racial inequality gap and the economic inequality gap has always been like my true motivation is like, how could we actually bridge the gap together? And now that's really one of my goals as my initiatives now is bridging the gap between it being healthcare, it being Latino community, whatever community that's separate from entrepreneurship, finance, and leadership, bridging that gap together. And how could I do that? And that's how Educate and Elevate started as well. And then, I mean, my personal story, I guess it would just come from similar to your story, bro. Kind of like, we're all Latino. We see our moms, our parents, all they do is work. And like Pablo was saying, hard work isn't it's not what we lack at all. It's more just finding the right tools. I think Warren Buffett said this the other day on a quote. Him and his best friend both started out same career, except he took a steel career versus Warren Buffett took obviously the stocks. Yeah. They both worked the same amount, but obviously Warren Buffett is now a billionaire. It's just a matter of which route are you taking, which boat are you on, are you rowing? So if we're rowing just as hard, if we could put an individual on the right boat and have them row just as hard, imagine how much farther he could be.
So man, you guys are speaking facts, and condolences on that, man. That's powerful too. And now I can kind of see why you're in the life insurance as well. Like, that's such a powerful thing to come from, of like, that this, you literally suffered that and you saw 6 years of probate. That's like, and you're trying to grieve too, and you're that age. I just can't imagine like what you were going through at that time. And that probably was what allows you to have that fire every single day and to keep it going. It's like, I got goosebumps thinking about it.
That's why he comes in here fiery, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, the team knows. The team knows. You know, sometimes I love business. Don't get me wrong, but for me, this industry is well beyond just making the money, man. It's honestly impact. You know, I mean, I have it on my vision boards. You guys see it all the time. The team, I talk about it all the time. It's like, look, I've lived the other side. Like, I'm not doing this just for the money. Like, I truly do it because I've lived it. I've been on the other side of a family not having life insurance. And so many times we don't take it seriously. Or maybe sometimes it's like, hey, like, yeah, we bought a house. We want to build wealth. I love real estate personally. I'm an investor myself. But are we protecting our assets? Are we protecting our ass, really? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and that's really what it's about. It's having that financial literacy.
But the biggest thing is like, well, how are we going to reach the people, right? It's one thing if we know it. Who cares if we know it? If no one else knows it, then what's the thing? And that's really what the biggest drive of what we're trying to do is bridge that gap.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I mean, and to piggyback off of that, it's like that's where it's like, okay, we have the statistics, right? We know the how, but it's like going back, if we're talking to the Latino community, it's like if I start speaking to you in Spanish, that's a completely different language. Whether you understand it or you don't, maybe somebody from here from the States, or it's like, for example, we have one of our good friends, he's in Japan right now, right? He doesn't speak the language of Japanese, respectfully, right? But, you know, it's like financial literacy, finance in general. I mean, you guys being in real estate as well, like Armando being in nursing as well, like that's its own language, you know? So if now I can now help translate the language of financial literacy to the Latino community, which is what one of our missions is that's to do, is to really be translators and make it relatable to our people. You know what I mean? They look like us, they sound like us.
And that's why we try to be up in the, you know, where they're at. You know, That's why we threw the pop-up event, Latino pop-up event. That's why we pulled up to our good friend Christian Blends' event. We try to be in there, and that's one of our initiatives is try to be con la gente, porque pues, la gente está trabajando siempre. And in reality, like, I have conversations with them every day, and it's like, yeah, like they start to gain your respect because the more they see you.
That's a fact.
You know, so that's gonna be our uphill battle.
Yeah. No, and it is because, like, when I first got into real estate, working in Orange County, you know, like I only knew what I grew up with, like growing up with like my family's from Chihuahua, and just being in there in Orange County and working like in a call center. Who are the managers in there? White men. And like, that's the education that they were given. And the people that I'm talking on the phone, homeowners, I'm not talking to mostly Latinos. It's mostly, you know, it is what it is. It's like a lot of the white people. And I just, every single time I'm on a phone call, I'm like, damn, I wish I could just be explaining this stuff to our Hispanic community. Because there's just like that kind of gap. And there's not enough faces to show of like that there's representation, that people are out there going for more. So I think the impact and the power that you guys are having is like a huge, huge ripple effect, because it's just not out there and it's not accessible. And that's the reason why it's so tough for us to get out, you know, of that. I wanted to hear your advice. Give me some applicable advice, right? So I've got like an abuelito, real stubborn, you know, my tias. Like, how do you motivate your family that's like against, because they're fearful, you know, of the whole system. Like, what do you kind of tell them to introduce them the idea? Like, what do you usually do to get them to the next step of like either budgeting or going into life insurance? Like, what would you say?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, all right, so who are we talking to, your abuelito?
Let's say, let's call it that. My abuelito, like right now, he's
how old is your abuelito?
He's older, for example, right? He's like 70. And he doesn't want to talk about doing the will. He doesn't want to talk about anything. It's like, and he owns a house. And it's just, he's just really fearful about it. Like, what would you say to someone like that that's like really averse and scared?
Yeah, that's a great question, because that is a commonality. You know, that's a very common situation. And it really comes down to, well, what's guaranteed in life? You know, like, are we all guaranteed to live long, or are we all guaranteed to one day pass away? And at the end of the day, I think it's just more education on probate, like what Pablo went through, where even if you say that you don't want to do this, the state is still going to take over your property. And if would you rather pay $1,600 $100 for a living trust, or would you rather pay 20 grand for probate? Would you rather pass away knowing that your family's taken care of, or would you rather pass away and leave the debt for your family to take care of? You know, and then I would just resonate the hard work they did. Talk about all the work they did and say, how would it feel to you if through all this hard work you did, someone would just to come in and just sweep it under your feet? Just because you didn't do a $1,600 living trust, you didn't put a life insurance policy that maybe could have taken care of the funeral expenses, no medical exam needed, or just something at least to pass on to your family. Now they're not burdened with any debt, and now they could at least start in a better place than maybe we started with. It's the easiest wealth transfer ever.
Yeah, I would definitely second that. You know, I would definitely second that approach. And I mean, it's never an easy conversation, right? It's never an easy conversation. You know, I'll share a story that I think a lot of people could probably resonate with. And I don't think I've ever told this story before, so this is a first. But it was a time that my mom actually brought up the conversation for the first time to my dad. It was actually a few years before he passed. And they went out to dinner, and my mom was like, you know, hey, we should probably start thinking about getting you some life insurance, kind of getting the stuff set in order. And my dad got up from the table and left. You know, and how many times us as males, let's be honest, right? Whether it be males or females, but how many times us as males do we just put up that guard and we don't want to accept reality sometimes? And I think that that's where some sort of emotional intelligence could definitely come into place, especially for us as men in society. Like, we have to take accountability for that.
Well, it's also breaking the machismo too, though.
Yeah,
that's a culture stuff.
It's definitely a culture thing too.
My dad hasn't bought life insurance for me, bro. Like, he won't. Like, he doesn't want to. Yeah, he won't even do a living trust. I was like, dude, I'll pay for it for you. Like, it's a Christmas gift. He's like, nah, I'll do it later. Because I was like, dude, I'm like, I don't know. But it's a machismo thing. So I totally get you with your abuelito. Sometimes they need to hear from someone else.
Yeah.
So
I'll share another story. I'll share another story too. And it was actually a client that I was dealing with here about a month ago. I went to his house and, you know, did the entire presentation. Him and the wife absolutely loved the entire thing, like the entire, all the concepts and everything. And the wife loved it. The kids were there. Everyone was in agreement. Got the application. We went through everything. Got the approval, and they ended up backing out last minute.
No way.
And the reason they ended up backing out last minute was because the husband was just under the impression of, hey, this life insurance stuff is a scam, you know? And I was only able to take it so far, right? If that's what his thoughts were, that's where his thoughts were at. Unfortunately, and honestly, I really do hate to say this story, is that a few weeks passed by. I just saw an Instagram post a couple days ago. They just had a family passing.
Oh my God.
They just had a family passing. And sure enough, am I going to sit there as the agent and say, hey, like, you see? No, absolutely not. Like, that's not the way you approach it. But best believe, like, they're thinking about it. You know, so I mean, are we gonna wait until it's too late? Is the moral of the story? Are we gonna wait until everyone? Are you gonna be the person that is saying, "I wish I should have done this. I wish I should have done that," and ultimately, at the end of the day, all you're doing is shooting all over yourself.
And it's crazy to think about that. It's all over just a mentality thing, right? It's not a money thing. It's not like it's just a stubbornness sometimes, a machismo thing.
Yeah.
And it's education. I mean, it's an education thing.
But I think it kind of goes back to the years and years of the system, of the American system, like, hasn't really treated the minorities well all this time. So they just are so averse to everything. That's what I feel like when I'm, you know, doing the mortgages. So I
think you're absolutely correct though too. I mean, if you think about mortgages, right? They had redlining, which is how they would like systematically, they would systematically outpace a group from applying for mortgages in a particular area, just to keep it like white, or just to keep it like a particular ethnicity. So bro, there's a huge, and that's why they have that, because we've been systematically discriminalized for years, and we still, you can see we probably still are. So I totally get the Latino who doesn't want to or doesn't trust. I totally get it, because there's a lot of people out there, but at the same time, education is going to save the world.
Oh, yeah.
And speaking on education too, let's bring it current, right? What's the biggest topic in the financial world right now? Banks going out, right? Banks going out. Currently right now, people say, well, is life insurance a scam? And I want to debunk this scam for everybody that's watching.
I was just going to ask that. So
yeah, is life insurance a scam? Well, here it is, guys. Where's my money safer, right? Is my money safer inside of a bank, or is my money safer inside of a life insurance policy with the life insurance company? First of all, when have you ever heard about a life insurance company going out of business? Okay, that's number one. We hear banks going under all the time. Okay, so statistically proven, right, by the numbers, for every dollar that you put inside of a bank, whether it be Chase, Wells Fargo, whatever the case may be, they could legally lend out about 9. Okay, so you give me $1, I can now lend out 9 in loans, personal loans, credit, whatever the case may be. For every dollar that you put inside of a life insurance policy, whether it be a term policy, a permanent policy, whatever the case may be, these financial insurance companies have to have 5 in reserves. One they can lend out 9 for every dollar you deposit. One has to have 5 in reserves. So where's your money safer?
That's crazy.
Not to mention, okay, let's say, okay, I'm not putting my money in the bank. I'm putting it under the mattress. You guys are also
got
in real
inflation
estate
and stuff, you know?
Right? You got inflation. Yeah. You got all these other different things where it's like you're going to get outpaced.
Well, if banks are going on under, which they are right now. I think right now they just reported probably another one possibly going under. I mean, yeah, then you really start to ask yourself, like, where is it the safest? So anybody listening, you know, then you can just start doing your research on, like, well, as Pablo was saying, like, there's different types of life insurance companies, and you just got to figure out which one is the best one. But, yeah, the bank and that Chase, for example, wouldn't just be, like, the all-out answer, or holding it under the sillon, tampoco, isn't the best answer as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and you have that problem, too, as a lender, right? Shit, someone tells you I got all cash. I'm like, dude,
same thing.
Your
all
cash
cash
is no good.
They don't. It's a lot. Again, education. They write off everything on their tax returns too.
That's another one.
You know, they're just not informed about the process.
Right.
And that's kind of what hopefully we all are bringing to it. Just bringing that stuff to light, so it just becomes more normal, just like it is for any regular American. But aside from that, life insurance. I want to know about you guys individually, right? So it's tough. I mean, you guys are running your own businesses, you're entrepreneurs. Like, how do you stay motivated each day? Like, and when you're going through your ups and downs, like, how do you manage to keep it consistent? Are there any kind of cornerstones that you guys use to have that consistency in entrepreneurship?
Yeah, it's a great question, bro. I mean, consistency is a big factor. I think that's something we could all work on. But for me to stay consistent, you just really got to look at your why. Like, what's the thing that drives you the most? Like, why do you get up, or why are you even here right now? Like, you really got to think about the longer vision. And, one thing I started implementing was writing out my goals, like, at least every day. And then having, like, something that keep me accountable, like someone else. So I have Pablo there who keeps me accountable too. So it being my calls, for us being in the business, me being my contacts, how many people am I meeting, whatever it may be. At the end of the day, it comes down to your biggest why, bro. And my why ultimately is to make my mom proud, my parents proud. And if I make her proud, then at the end of the day, I know I'm doing my job. But I know what it takes to make her proud too. And I have her raise her standards on purpose. So now it forces me to raise my standards in order to make her happy. Because she'll love me if I do nothing. Either way, that's your mom. But it's like, nah, mom, you gotta make me work harder. Because that way I raise my standards. And then now she's cool, then I'm cool.
Man, no, talk about the mom. Like, I feel like for me personally, it's like it's an up and down thing, right? Because they don't want to see their little Nino going to them and like feeling bad and sad. They're just gonna, oh no, it's okay.
Yeah,
you don't have to just go quit. Like that's what my mom would do. Like
no, my mom too. Yeah.
Like no, you don't need all that. Just do that. And then you gotta. But again, I think that's you made that point really good about you raise your own standards to show them the new standards, and they can keep you accountable to that, right? So there's
a new standard of life that we gotta live by.
Yeah.
What about you?
I know, man. I think those are great. I think for me, it goes back to I'm really big on structure, right? So am I perfect all the time? Absolutely not. You know what I mean? I don't think nobody is. But here's a little tip that I had a mentor share with me one time, and that was to have a habit tracker, right? So what are your daily habits? What are the pillars inside of your day, right? So for example, I'll bring out a spreadsheet. I'll create a spreadsheet with 6 or 7 things that I absolutely need to do on a weekly basis or on a daily basis, right? And I'll have a checklist, just an easy little schedule. Did I have my Bible and devotion time? Did I get my gallon of water in? Did I get my workout in, right? Did I read today? Did I make my contacts? daily little habits that'll just keep you on track to be able to produce the things that you need to do. And then you go Monday through Sunday, right? You set an expectation for yourself. Do I work out every day? Absolutely not. But my goal is to do 5 days a week, right? Same thing with all my other daily habits. So, and then you create a little checklist, and what doesn't get measured doesn't get done. So once you sit down at the end of the week and you say, okay, these are all the things. I got this many X's. I got this many check marks. Okay, I succeeded in this area of my life, but I failed in this area. How can we improve on that this next week, right? And if you continue to just habit stack that, right? Shout out to Atomic Habits. It's a really good, really good book, right? If you read that book, highly recommend if you're an entrepreneur or if you're trying to develop personally. It's a really good book to start with. Yeah. But it's a good way, right? And all I would do is just create a little habit tracker for yourself, and you determine, hey, I want to focus on these different areas of my life. And then you could start to reanalyze, every quarter. I know Armando's really big on creating like a contract with himself.
Oh, yeah. I got that from Atomic Habits, bro. Yeah, the habit.
Explain on that. Yeah, explain that.
It's called a habit contract. So through the book, you basically make your goal. So like you have your income goal for the year, and then you break it down as Pablo was saying. You break it down to the habits. And then from that, you make a contract with yourself. You're saying, all right, it's pain and reward. So basically, if I hit my goal, then I reward myself. Very simple. And then if I don't, then you got to punish yourself. So for example, one of the punishments I have was one I can't disclose. But another one that I do have is that I can't listen to no music in the car, and then no music at the gym. So if I don't hit my goal when I work out, there's no music playing.
No Bad Bunny, bro.
No Bad Bunny. No Safaera. So I'm like, damn, so that's it's like a little thing, but then my reward would be like watch a movie or something.
What do you write it out? Like, what do you use on your habit tracker? Is it just a notes on your iPhone? Like, is there an app that people should use?
I don't know what it is, man, but there's just, I call me old school, man, but there's just magic when you pick up a pen and you put it to a paper. So I'm really big on journaling, create it, like literally have it. When it comes to goals, I mean, I have a mirror at home. We all have mirrors in the bathroom.
That's true. That's true what he's saying.
Right? Get a dry erase marker. Write out your goals, your top 3 goals in a little bullet point. They don't have to be long, but just anchor them in with something. For example, one of my number 1 goals is to put God first, right? I put God before everything that I do. So I put God first. So that just reminds me mentally that no matter what decisions I make, I'm going to put him first, right? And you make other goals. Maybe your goal is to make $50,000 a month, right? 50K, boom. 50K / month, boom. At least the more you see it, the more you're going to be pushing towards those things.
It's true about your bathroom.
Yeah.
The other day I went.
Graffiti everywhere?
Yeah, markers? Everywhere, bro. I was peeing and I was reading, I was like, damn, he's got a lot going on here.
Yeah, I mean, Mondo comes to the house from time to time, and yeah, bro, like, people come to my house all the time, and they'll see it, be like, what the heck? Like, you actually do this? I'm like, yeah, bro. Like,
you think I'm just saying?
You think I'm just saying it? Nah, man. Like, I got things to do. I got things to accomplish, and this is what works for me. Does it work for everybody? I don't know, but it works for me.
That's a good tip to walk away though. He writes it. I Google Calendar it. So Google Calendar is like my best friend.
So just find out what resonates with you the most. You love that paper and pen. You love that marker writing all over the place. Probably tell like this too, right? Got the graffiti back here too. Oh man, I have one question I was just curious about you, Armando, about your balance of you're a nurse,
yeah,
and you're a real estate agent, and you're doing financial services. Can you speak on that a bit? Like, how did you? I don't know any other. If you're a nurse, they're usually just sticking with that. Like, what brought you to those different branches?
Yeah, bro, great question. That I've been getting that question more and more. I would say so. Every nurse that's out there works 3 days a week because we work 12-hour shifts. So what do we do with our other 4 days? Well, if you don't have a kid, you're taking care of your family. But if you don't, most likely than not, a hidden secret is that every nurse is thinking about some type of entrepreneur thing, a high sell. So, yeah, they're hustlers. We're hustlers. So I knew that going in because I've been in the hospital for years. I knew that going in. Right when I got my degree, I got my real estate license like a month later. That was in 2020. And then, yeah, that was COVID year, right? Was that COVID? Yeah, that was COVID year. Yeah, so I got my BSN, my RN license, and then I got my real estate license like a month after. So now I started doing both. And then I got introduced to financial services about 6-7 months ago. And it implemented well exactly with what we're doing already because we're all about educating anyways about homes, about loans. Now it's just implementing the entire financial plan of an individual. So how does that relate to nursing? Well, bro, healthcare professionals are one of the hardest working people, especially during COVID. We got we were working so much, and we seen a lot too. There's a lot of trauma, a lot of mental issues that we go through because being in the hospital and what we saw during COVID, and being in that case, a lot of people are actually thinking of like a way. Well, what else could I do to supplement my income where I don't have to be at the hospital all the time? So now I really just want to bridge that gap and then show them the options that they have available for them. So that's one of my passions too. Because of COVID, that was like I'm a COVID.
No, you're still seeing issues from back then. It's still shortages at different hospitals.
Yeah,
my fiance's mom just got her doctorate of nursing.
Nice, congratulations!
So craziness, like what the heck?
That's awesome.
In their 50s, man. But yeah, so she's been telling me about that huge deficit, and yeah, they're hustlers, man. Yeah, long shifts, so I could definitely see it. But as we're kind of winding down, I just want to get these last questions down. So for each of you, right? And this is a lot of people have a lot of trouble answering this question because they don't look this far out into it. But I think for you guys, you guys are writers in your notebooks, keeping the Google calendars. So at the end of the day, right? What would you say that you wanted to accomplish in this life? Like what are you doing all this for? I know you explained you're kind of wise, but looking in a perfect world, like what do you want to see, 60, 70 years down the line?
For me, man, I want to serve, to be honest with you. God, for me, like my walk with the Lord is big. So whatever ways he could use me, right? Whatever ways that may be, whether that be as an evangelist, as a teacher, as a preacher, I don't know what the future holds, to be honest with you. Yeah, it's nice to have goals, and I got things that I want to accomplish and stuff like that. But for me, honestly, it's just be a servant in whatever way I can. If it's providing education to Kenny's platform, if it's, teaching people around the United States how to properly buy and invest into their retirement plans or life insurance or whatever, or to be an investor, whatever that may look like, man. To be honest with you, it's just to be a servant and to serve the best way I can and help inspire others. Help inspire others to live, I guess, a better lifestyle, really.
I love that.
That's more for me,
And that's not, like, I love that answer so much because that just speaks to what you're doing right now, right? It's just, you're not really focused on the result of owning your own company or having this kind of car or having this kind of big mansion. It's really just, it sounds like you're just going to be doing the same stuff that you are doing right now to what you.
And don't get me wrong, man. Like, don't get me wrong. It's nice to have the shoes and the cars and the lifestyle. Like, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love to live a great lifestyle. I love going to Dodger games, Laker games, having a good time with friends and all that stuff. But ultimately, man, if I had to narrow it down to one specific thing, that's what I'm here to do.
Love that.
Be a servant.
How are you gonna follow that
up? You honestly can't, but I'll give it a shot. The question is, what do I see my life in 60 years?
Yeah. So like,
what I want to see.
I know you guys are big on impact, so maybe that. Like, what kind of impact would you have wanted to make, or like, is there something personal that you would have wanted to build by that time, like towards the end of your life?
That's awesome. All right. Yeah, but I have thought about this too. Ultimately, it's legacy driven. And by 60 years from now, man, 50 years from now, where I see myself is not being here in the U.S., but in another country where I could now serve primarily in the Latin America and be able to just build schools and be able to to impact the kids there and be able just to give back. Or like where I did my life here, I did what I had to accomplish. And now I could just go back and just give back and I guess serve.
Philanthropy almost.
Yeah, philanthropy. Yeah. Yeah. So
love that. Okay. And then final question. So if you can remember like a time when you were probably at your lowest, or just if you can give advice to your former self, what kind of advice would you give? Or to someone else who's, just going through it, who just needs something, just a little boost up? Like, what is just one thing you'd be like, look, this is just what you need to do to kind of get you out of this rut?
Yeah, that's a great question, bro. To get out of the rut, I would say you got to believe in yourself. I think one of the biggest things that I see a lot of people and even myself is like, sometimes we lack confidence. But with confidence, if you believe in yourself and you have the confidence, then you could do anything. And you could do anything you want. But many people I see that I talk to, like, walk with their shoulders down, or or don't look you directly in the eye because they're scared that you might see something in them. And they're not as expressive as they probably should be because they think that they might get judged. And I'm able to read that and feel the energy of an individual. And I go up to him and I tell him, like, bro, like, if you don't love yourself, how do you expect anybody to love you? And I'm a little direct like that just because that's how I was brought up. But I say it with the most, like, loving way, like, bro, you got to change that. You got to love yourself, because if you love yourself, now you could be expressive out in the world. And when you're expressive out in the world, then more is going to come to you. And then that's when then I would also tell him to pick something that you want and go for it. Don't get distracted by every little thing. Like, pick something, go at it hard for like 2-3 years, and then see what you make out of it, and then go somewhere else. Don't try to do everything. Like, good at well, what's the quote? You're good at everything but great at nothing. Yeah. Like, pick
Jack
something.
Of all trades but master of none.
Exactly. Yeah. Go ham on something, master it, and then learn to do something else. That's kind of what I would tell someone.
It's great, great advice.
That's good, man. And I would say, the power of proximity is big. So many times, like, even at our low points, who you surround yourself with is really big. We're all about community. I'm personally all about placing yourself in the right environments. And I think that when you have the right people around you, that's really important. So pay attention to who's around you. Pay attention to who's clapping during the times of you succeeding, and also pay attention to who's around you when you're going through seasons of darkness as well, because that's really big. And I would like to leave everybody with Romans 8:28, which says, if God is for you, who could be against you, right? So understanding the simple belief of, as long as he's on your side, you're going to be fine, right? Continue to walk that walk of faith. I always like to kind of give this visual is, imagine us being in a dark hole, right, at our lowest point. And so many times we have this victim mentality of saying, God, why did you do this to me? Why? And instead of saying why, the invitation is to invite God into the hole with you, right? Invite him into it with you, because the simple understanding is, we all love sports, right? Well, God doesn't lose. He doesn't lose. He's undefeated. So he will help you. If you invite him into that dark hole with you, boom, there you go. Now you guys are going to find out the way together. So many times we tried to do it on our own.
That's LeBron and MJ together.
LeBron and MJ together, combined. Kobe, that's even more, man.
That's what I'm saying.
That's his dream squad.
That's what I'm saying. So
wow.
I'll leave people with that. Again, Romans 8:28, if God is for you, who could be against you?
Put a stamp on that. What a way to finish the pod, Pablo. That was...
Mic drop, bro.
Man. That's a mic drop. All right, where can everyone find you, and how can they get connected? And again, to everyone out there too who just has any questions, these guys are genuine dudes, like, and they're just here to educate and raise the level of awareness up with everything that goes on in finances, business, entrepreneurship, and it even looks like with mental health too. So feel free and yeah, just drop your @s and your wherever they can find you.
Yeah, I mean, definitely give us a follow as well, educateandelevatemedia.co, and then my personal is at Mr.Ambitious Inc.
There you go. Mine's my name, Armando Olmeda, but you can follow us on the Educate and Elevate platform as well. Find us on everything, I guess. Yeah. And then we're located here in Chino Hills, but we're starting to go local and international, so you just have to see us everywhere.
I know, yeah. I've seen you guys speaking everywhere. Can't wait to see the future. So happy you guys invited us over and hosted this thing. Truly appreciate it, guys. This is a great episode. I think one of my personal favorites so far.
You guys got a home here, man. So thank you to you and your team and everything that you're doing. And congratulations. Congratulations on the platform, on the podcast, on your success. To you and your wife or future.
Yeah, you're about to get married, bro.
Be, right?
We didn't even talk about that.
So congratulations. That's
huge,
on everything that you guys got going on.
Thank you, man. No, definitely have to do some recap episodes later on in the future. See where we're all going.
Please, yes, absolutely.
But appreciate it, guys, and that's a wrap. So More Than the Numbers pod. Remember to follow it, like, share this thing out. This is a powerful message that we have from the both of them. So appreciate you all, and we'll end it there. Let's get a Lakers win tonight.
Let's go.
Get it.
All right.